Unit 17. Exercise 1. There are several theories about why older people experience long-term time compression so much more acutely than young people. It has been observed, for example, that for a 20-year-old, 10 years is half a lifetime, but for a 50-year-old, the same span represents just 20% of one's life. As we age, a decade becomes an ever smaller proportion of our life experience. Others have emphasized the fact that in a 10-year span, younger people encounter more turning points than older people. In just 10 years, a younger person is likely to graduate from college, woo and win a mate, start a family, and buy a house. Older people, in contrast, can easily pass a decade doing the same job and living in the same house with the same spouse. The absence of frequent life-changing events may partly explain why older people feel that the later decades seem to pass so quickly. Older people experience long-term time compression more acutely because to them, a time period such as a decade represents a declining proportion of their life, and the occurrence of major life events during that period is rare. Exercise 2. Social mobility is upward or downward movement in social position over time in a society. That movement can be specific to individuals who change social positions or to categories of people, such as racial or ethnic groups. Social mobility between generations is referred to as intergenerational mobility. The self-made myth suggests that social position in the United States is largely up to the individual, implying that mobility is quite common and easy to achieve for those who apply themselves. However, what people believe and what is fact are often not the same. A recent experimental study found that Americans substantially and consistently overestimate the amount of income mobility and educational access in society. The higher one's social class, the more likely they are to overestimate social mobility. In other words, wealthy Americans tend to subscribe to the belief that pulling oneself out of poverty is easier than it actually is, and that one's wealth is a result of hard work and initiative, rather than luck or birth. Americans tend to have the unproven belief that social position largely depends upon personal effort, and those with greater wealth and higher social status are more likely to consider upward social mobility readily achievable. Exercise 3. In ancient Greece, many private individuals believed in the powers of magic, such as farmers who were always dependent on the weather. Even though the use of magic was widespread in ancient Greece, there remained an official caution over its use. We know that the Greek authorities believed that magic was an activity capable of results, but they grew concerned about those who practiced harmful magic. So it was established that those who practiced harmful magic could be punished by civic action. This may be the reason why magic in the classical world was held in low esteem and condemned by speakers and writers. Likewise, we find certain intellectuals realizing that the power of magic could be abused. For example, Plato believed that those who sold spells and curse tablets should be punished. Epicurean and Stoic philosophers also believed that magic should be eliminated. This mistrust of magic, along with religion and a separation of humans from the divine world, created a need to develop new methods of understanding the world. It is thus understandable that the ancient Greeks created the foundations for philosophy. Widespread magical beliefs and practices in ancient Greece resulted in the banning of harmful magic and the hostility to magic by Greek thinkers, which was one of the factors that prompted the emergence of philosophy. Exercise 4. The development psychologist Jerome Kagan measured changes in children's temperament between the ages of 4 months and 7 years. He classified several healthy 4-month-old infants as high reactors, easily excited or fearful, or low reactors, relaxed and unafraid, depending upon their responses to an unfamiliar stimulus. Kagan waved colorful mobiles in front of a baby, played a tape saying, "Hello, baby, how are you doing today?" and popped a balloon behind the baby's head. High reactors moved around violently and cried, while low reactors rested or even laughed during the tests. By the time these infants were 4 years old, some of the high reactors were quite shy, subdued, and quiet, while others had moved toward the center of Kagan's shy-bold continuum. By the age of 7, only 15% of the initially low reactors were enthusiastic, fearless, and highly sociable kids, and the rest had moved closer to the center. None of the high reactors became fearless, and none of the low reactors became fearful. In other words, environment only moderately affected the final outcome. In his study with children grouped by their reactions to novel stimuli, Jerome Kagan found that the children's temperamental characteristics had not been significantly affected by environment during early childhood.